Hey dragons, it has been a hot minute, but I have a really cool experiment for you today. However, there are going to be a lot of safety concerns, so I need you to listen carefully to the safety parts of this video, okay? Do you promise? You gotta be safe while you're doing this. Okay, then I'll let you try it. You are gonna love this project. It helps teach us about how air is affected by our weather and the temperature of the world around us. See, what happens is when air gets really hot, it expands. And when it gets really cold, it contracts. And that can have some really interesting effects. One of the effects it has is on my head, and I'm sure on yours too. When it gets really hot or really cold really fast outside, I get really bad pressure headaches. That quick temperature change changes the air pressure, how much the air outside in the atmosphere is expanding or contracting, which means it affects how much that pressure is pushing on my head and on the air pockets inside my head. See, the air inside my head stays about at a stable temperature because my body stays at a stable temperature, which means it's pushing the same amount all the time. The air outside changes with the weather. So when that change happens really fast, the pressure outside my brain pushes harder or pushes less hard and can give me a really bad pressure headache. Thought this would be a good lesson since the weather is changing so rapidly outside. Let's go try the experiment. Okay, dragons, so like I said, this one's gonna have a lot of safety requirements. The first, and possibly most important, is that you have to pull back your hair. A lot of times people will forget to pull back their hair when they're working with heat, and that's really dangerous because if there's heat, your hair could catch fire and then you've got really big problems. So definitely if your hair is any longer than about this far down your face, you gotta pull it back. That'll keep you safe. The next thing is we are gonna be working with heat, so you're gonna need some protective materials like an oven mitt or a pot holder, or both. I'm going to be using both because I like to use both hands when I'm working with hot things. So I'm going to be using both for this. And you cannot do this one on your own. You have got to have parents with you for this one. You're messing with the stove, you're messing with heat elements, so you've got to have an adult with you just in case something goes wrong. Not that I think you guys are going to do anything wrong, but you just never know. And it's always safer to have an adult with you. The last thing is, especially when you are working with heat, there is no going into another room, doing something else while you wait for it to happen. You have to stay with this the whole time. Like lighting a candle. If you light a candle, you have to stay in the room with it to make sure that it's safe. All right, you guys ready to get started? I've got this really cool can, and I am going to turn on my burner up as high as it goes, and then I'm going to put this can on the heat. Now, there's a tiny bit of water left in that can, so I will know it's ready to go when I can see water vapor coming out of it. Let's wait for that to happen. Okay, we can see lots of good water vapor coming from this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it into this ice water. You guys ready? All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Thanks. Wait for it. Cat's waiting for it. We're gonna wait for that to cool down now. Watch what happens. All right, friends, this can is cool. Let's see what happened. You ready? Whole lot of water got up in that can. Why do you think that happened? What do you think went on in there? I wonder what would happen if we put it back on the stove, got it hot again, and then put the lid on. Let's try it. Okay, I think that's about hot enough. Let's put the lid on very carefully. Woo! It doesn't like that. Let's put this lid all the way on and see what happens. Uh-oh, watch the sides.
What's those noises is?
How wild is that? The can collapsed in on itself just from cooling down. I wonder why that happened. Okay, so basically what happened is what we were talking about earlier. See, when we put that can on the stove, the air inside it heated up. The molecules started moving faster and faster, which meant they spread out. That's what happens when the air expands. So, because the air inside that can got really hot, it expanded. It pushed a lot of air out of the can. Then, when we put the lid back on, what happened was the air inside, because it wasn't on the burner anymore, started to cool down, which meant it contracted. The molecules of the air pulled together and it didn't take up as much space, which kind of works like a balloon. See, when the air expands, it pushes on the sides of the can, but because there was a hole in the top, it mostly pushed out that hole. But when we put the lid on, there was no place for it to push out of or pull in through. So it was closed up. So when that air started to pull together, it wasn't pushing on the insides of the can anymore. But the air outside the can was still pushing on the sides of the can just as much as it had been before. So that air pressure of the air outside the can pushed the sides of the can in until it collapsed. Now, at the beginning of the video, we talked about pressure headaches, and I want to reassure you that the air is never going to change fast enough outside for our heads to collapse. That pressure change you just saw was a temperature change of about 100 degrees in less than 2 minutes. The air outside is never going to change that much that fast, so you don't have to worry about your heads exploding, just hurting a little bit. This is actually something you could do at home yourself. You're going to need a soda can, it doesn't matter what kind, a bucket or a tub or a bowl of ice water. It won't do any damage, so if you choose to use a mixing bowl, don't worry about it. Not a big deal. Then you're also going to need your stove, a pair of tongs, and an adult. Remember, don't try this without an adult. You guys don't have my super cool special cans, but you can use a soda can, it'll work just fine. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is rinse it out, because if you have any soda left in there, it's gonna smoke, it's gonna burn, and your whole house is gonna smell really nasty. Okay, once your can is clean, set it on the stove and turn the stove on. This is the part where you're gonna start needing an adult in the room. Wait until you see water vapor coming up out of it. That's how you know it's hot enough. See that water vapor coming out? Starting to get warm. Okay, once you feel like your can is really good and hot, you're gonna take the tongs and you're gonna use them to pick up the can and flip it upside down into the ice water. That hole where the soda comes out has to be upside down in the ice water or this project won't work. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Woo! That was a heck of a pop! And see? My soda can collapsed, just like the other can. Don't forget to turn your stove off. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that experiment. I had a lot of fun doing it, and if you do it at home, send me a video. I'd love to see you trying it out. Have fun out there, friends. Bye.